Hello everyone, good evening, good evening. Welcome to all of you. We're gonna be making a start in about 3 minutes. So if you are starting to join our lecture tonight, please feel welcome. Get comfortable in your sofa, in your dining chair, or whatever you may be. And just start really quieting down your mind, your house, trying to be still for a moment so you can prepare yourself for this lecture. If you're joining now, we're going to start very soon. Thanks for joining. Welcome this beautiful day. Let's start getting ready. All right, we're gonna start making our way. Let's close our eyes. Let's give ourselves a deep breath, connecting our mind, our soul to a higher place. Let's connect our mind, our soul to our Master Jesus, with the Creator, in whatever shape or form you believe the Creator is, with something bigger than ourselves, something just, a higher being, a higher sense of belonging. Let's spare this time and dedicate these moments, these few minutes, for some valuable reflections that hopefully will bring a better and fresh perspective, helping us prepare, helping us to face the journey that we have ahead of us with more ease, with more joy, with a higher sense of reasoning, in synchrony with the universe, in synchrony with God, where everything makes sense and everything is fair. Thanks God, thanks Jesus for allowing us this moment. So be it. So, good evening then everyone. It's a beautiful end of afternoon. I'm sure everybody had the opportunity to potentially spend some minutes outside, if not some hours, and have, of course, an amazing day that we all probably had. So it is with that energy of this beautiful day, and with that good feeling of having enjoyed this beautiful afternoon, this beautiful morning, that we start this lecture. So welcome every one of you. I'm really pleased to be here today to have the role of trying to put my own perspective on what I read, what I studied, and be able to try to transfer that across to your ears in the best possible way I can. So today, we will be basing our discussion on the Gospel according to Spiritism. Chapter 6, Christ is the Consoler. And the theme for today's lecture, for our discussion today, is where is Jesus? Where is Jesus? And it's a kind of a very open question, isn't it? We can think about a specific location, physical location where Jesus would potentially be. But this is for certain not the focus of this question. It isn't about what would be Jesus at the moment, physically speaking. It is more about philosophical question, where we do ask ourselves, where is Jesus in my heart? What part of me, what part of what I believe, what part of what I do, what part of the way I look at my challenges, my trials, have Jesus principles and have Jesus inserted on their core? That's the question. How much do I really allow Jesus to be on our lives? Do I just say from my mouth out that Jesus is my master, I follow Jesus? But in true sense, most of the things that I do are actually not in alignment with what Jesus came here wants to taught all of us. Could it potentially be that I spend hours and hours and potentially days, and I have already maybe spent years of my life reading about Jesus, studying about his gospel, studying about his words, his wisdom, but maybe in true sense I still struggle to fully understand his teachings? Could it be? And potentially the answer for that is yes, it can be. Can be the case for all of us. No exceptions. No exceptions at all. So the journey that we are all going through, it is the journey of learning. It is the journey of exploring. It is the journey of studying more and more about what truly means having Jesus in our lives. And as any journey, that path takes us to maybe twisty roads, rocky path, maybe some uphills, some downhills. But it's true throughout this journey that we have the chance and the opportunity to really start to take in and to absorb and accept Jesus in our hearts in his true sense. So when Jesus came to earth, he brought a very different perspective of what the spiritual reality would be for all of us. He taught man, probably for one of the first times, that we are all equal before God, that we are all the same, and that the matters of the earth or the material things is not what's going to make our life happier. So he taught us that also by showing that giving ourselves away more and more, dedicating our attention, our love, our care to the ones that need more than us, to the ones that are in suffering, to the ones that actually struggle with the life trials, with the suffering, with the lack of food or the disease. is actually where we should spend most of our time, isn't it? But there's one thing that Jesus actually came, and when he came, he was amongst us. We have to remember that we were still not fully prepared to properly hear everything that Jesus had to taught us or to teach us. So we could listen to it. We've listened to Jesus' words, but we weren't ready to properly hear the true meaning and the true depth of what those words really truly mean. And that's not because Jesus actually said what he said in very complicated ways. In fact, Jesus, most of the times, even used the parables to simplify all the moral values and moral concepts and the philosophies, using simple stories that would actually bring the same concepts that he was trying to explain in very simple terms, represented in daily circumstances that could, by understanding that small story, could transfer to the listener or to the receiver the moral value of what he was trying to teach. So as I was saying, it wasn't because of the complexity of what Jesus actually brought us and told us, which actually was the cause for ourselves to not have completely understood the true sense, the true value, and the true depth of Jesus' teachings. Instead, however, was our own limitations, our ignorance at the time, our mindset, if some like this word, was still very immature. So it's like trying to teach advanced science or advanced physics to a 2-year-old kid, or to a 2-year-old baby, I should say, or to a toddler. Some of the things, no matter how much you say, no matter in many different ways you're trying to expose that knowledge, it just can't be absorbed, because the level of preparation or the level of understanding is so vastly different that there is no point in trying to really enforce that knowledge. You just can't penetrate. And that was how we were not too long ago. And in fact, this is mostly how we still are in many aspects. But back to when Jesus was here, we have heard everything that Jesus said. We have listened to everything that Jesus said. We have listened to Jesus saying, "My kingdom is not of this world." Yeah. So did we really understood what that was when Jesus actually pronounced that sentence? Clearly not. We didn't. We weren't ready. We weren't prepared to understand. And that makes a huge difference. According to what's written here on our gospel, I'm just going to read a little piece for us. All sufferings, such as miseries, deceptions, physical pain, or loss of loved ones, will find consolation from faith in the future and from confidence in God's justice. All of which Christ came to teach men. On the other hand, for those who expect nothing after this life and who simply doubt, affliction will seem heavier to them, as they do not have any hope of mitigating their bitterness. This is what prompted Jesus to say, "Come unto me, all who are fatigued, and I will give you rest." So our ability to really understand life as a whole, to really understand who we truly were as spiritual beings, we're still very much attached to our physical existence. All we believed is that we were this body, and everything we had was what we have on earth. Our material possessions, our roles, the hierarchy positioning that we had into society, whether in the government or function or whatever, in such a way that we completely ignored everything that was truly valuable, but to a different value system, to the value system that Jesus already knew himself, which was the value system of the spiritual, continued living being. The spirit that doesn't die, the spirit that just changes from experience to another experience, to another experience, from a chapter to another chapter to another chapter. The value systems is if we really believe, accept and take in its true sense, what it is to actually be a forever living being, spiritual being. It can change completely the way we look at the experiences we're currently going through. Why? Well, suddenly, if I'm going through a specific suffering or struggle in my life right now, and suddenly I start to believe that this is just a process, the suffering or the specific struggle or the circumstance to which I'm faced with is nothing more than a tool, than a means to reach. If I know how to wisely use, I can actually progress, I can learn. And by learning, I become a better soul, I become a better man, I become a more loving, caring person. But if I don't have the understanding, if I can't accept the fact that I am actually a spiritual being that has no end, the focus of my struggles, or the importance and the heaviness of those trials become absolutely unbearable and immense. Why? Because everything that I have is right here on the flesh. Everything that I have is right here around me. The house, the car, the possessions, my ego, my money. And suddenly, what it could be really light, what could be taken as a journey of experiences and learning, that will have its trials, will have its difficulties, turns into something absolutely heavy, absolutely hard and miserable. And it all depends on where do I put my value system. That's where it all depends. The moment I change my value system from something just earthly contained to something completely live, continuous, spiritual, what scares me today, a circumstance, a process, a suffering that scares you and me today, loses its weight, loses the heaviness, loses the suffering and the power to maybe squeeze and destroy our soul to a point that I lose the courage. I start to question the divine, I question God's justice by saying, how come? What have I done to deserve this? I think God is not just. because I have not done anything wrong to deserve what I'm getting from life, and this is not fair. Very quickly, we can turn ourselves really sour. We can have anger and revolt within ourselves. And as we all know, because we probably all have been to an extent, in one way or the other, we have been on this mental place already. And we all know how heavy this feels, how hopeless this feels. And that's the whole point of us asking ourselves again, where is Jesus in my life? Where is Jesus in your life? Where is Jesus in our lives? And this isn't just a question for us to just beautifully remember, accept, and just reiterate everything that Jesus really taught us. It isn't just simply that. It is a great opportunity for us to reassess, really, truly, deeply. How am I reacting? How am I living through the experiences? Am I getting stronger, wiser, happier? Do I trust more God? Do I trust more in Jesus? The more suffering and the more trials I actually go through? Well, what's the logic behind that? Well, if I trust the existence and the continuation of my own life as a spiritual being, the sufferings, the trials, the problems is nothing more than just tools and means in which I will progress. Hence why it doesn't scare me. It's not a reason for me to turn myself against life, the existence, God, and say, this is all not fair. We get stronger, we get much more influential to the people around us when we can really master, and it's probably a skill, it's a competence, it's a state of being in which we all have the opportunity to gain if we choose to. That state of being that I can learn from the mistakes, I can learn from the experiences, from the problems. Where is Jesus in my life then? Where is Jesus in my life then? There was a point in time that on the Gospel according to John, Jesus already foresaid, if you love me, keep my commands, and I will pray for the Father, and he shall give you another a comforter, that he may abide with you forever. Even the Spirit of truth, who the world cannot receive, because it seeth not him, neither know him, but you shall know him. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Spirit, who the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things, and bring you all things to your remembrance, whatsoever I have said unto you. So Jesus already announced back in time that there would be another comforter, another consoler, another opportunity for us to keep learning, to keep evolving the concepts that he himself brought to us. And there have been many philosophies in the recent centuries. And surely we as spiritists, we know that a lot of the wisdom and the enhancements of these concepts that Jesus actually taught us once came through via the spirituality to our knowledge now, knowing and bringing to us the reality of the spiritual being, the never dying soul. And that is the true value, I guess, of the philosophy that we all, I guess, take it in our lives as a complement to Jesus' teachings, as a complement, not as a replacement, but as a complement. So it is extremely powerful, and I think you and me, all of you at home, it is extremely powerful that we all think deeply about this specific topic that we're discussing today, about where is Jesus in your life, where is Jesus in my life. It is extremely necessary that we reassess, even though we already know that there is a spiritual reality, even though we already know, and maybe some of us have already made great improvements, great steps and big steps forward. It is always an opportunity for us to rethink, to reassess, to reanalyze. What else am I missing? What else are we missing to really have Jesus right in our hearts? Where is Jesus? Well, Jesus truly should be with us all the time in our hearts. That's where he should be. Because Jesus himself said to ourselves, "For my yoke is easy and my burden is light for those who follow me." The yoke, and actually it's an intricate word, is that device for joining together a pair of draft animals, especially ox, usually consisting of a cross piece with a two-bow shaped piece. So now is that specific piece of, I guess, wood that is put on the back of the animals for the animals to carry the load. So Jesus says, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." But all he asks of us are two simple things: love and charity. Love and charity. If we have love and charity, things get much lighter, right? And it is a pretty big word on its own, love, because it has on it most of the virtues that we know today. It has patience, it has dedication, it has care, so that's then the true opportunity that we have when we really internalize what Jesus just asked us. Be kind, develop yourselves, control your egocentric beings, your egocentric minds, think more for the others, do more for the others, be gods in earth. He said, "What I do, every single one of you can do." Of course, in more biblical words, but in essence, that's what he said. Because he knew he wasn't anything more than every single one of us can achieve. Isn't it? So this is the message of today, guys. So I hope that deep in our hearts, we can use this opportunity, like I suggested earlier, to really recall and ask ourselves, where is Jesus in our hearts? Where is Jesus in our hearts? Is he well placed always deep inside myself in its true sense? Or do I just simply take his word and say that I believe and follow him? Or in actual fact, most of my actions, my attitudes, my behaviors are still not really in accordance to what Jesus truly is. And that's a really complex and deep question, because we only know what we're capable to understand at this point of our evolution. Some of you, I remember, have already said once, and I remember in the debates that we had open, saying, well, it seems that life is always replacing a problem one by a problem two. As soon as I solve this problem, it seems that there is another one to come. Well, but that's what it is. Because as we evolve, we have this opportunity to absorb more, to then deal with complexity in a different way. And that's the beauty of our evolution, if we understand the evolution as a truthful, constructive process, and not as a process that comes on our lives as a sign of God's injustice. So let's be with Jesus truly. Let's talk about Jesus. But let's, more than anything, try our best to act in all senses of our current life as Jesus would. Okay? So thanks everyone for being here with us today. I apologize for any small breaks. My voice is probably not the best today. I'm suffering a little bit of hay fever, but I hope it came through okay for you. All right, so all the best, and let's make ourselves a final prayer. Closing our eyes. Let's once again let's thank Jesus, let's thank God for everything that we have and everything that we are. Let's thank for all the struggles. Let's thank for all the problems. Thanks for all the happiness. Let's thank for the money. Let's thank for the absence of money. Let's thank for our health or the absence of our health. Because we truly know, as we spoke, as we reflected today, that everything that we currently are going through, that we currently have, has a higher reason on our own journey. And therefore, we should be grateful for it. We should make the most out of it, without wasting our energy on regret, on the feeling of injustice. Let's just turn our heads up, lift up our chin, and with this grateful sense of gratitude, we keep moving forward. Thanks everyone. Thanks Jesus. I hope everyone has a really good week, and we talk very soon. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.